And we're back. Welcome to the penultimate day of the group stages in Euro 2024. And honestly, what does this tournament think it is? I mean, yet again, last night, it goes to the final kick of the game in added time. 7 minutes of added time, and Italy get themselves the equaliser that not only makes sure that they automatically qualify, but essentially puts Croatia out of the tournament as well. Absolute heartbreak for the Croatians. However, if you are a Croatian fan, or like me, you're just a Luka Modric fan, there is still a possibility that Croatia qualify depending on what happens in Group C today. If England can beat Slovenia by 3 or more goals, I know, big ask, or if Serbia beat Denmark by 3 or more goals and England beat Slovenia by 3 or more goals, then Croatia will still qualify on goal difference over Slovenia and Denmark. But like I say, there's a lot of things that need to go Croatia's way in Group C in order for that to happen. The easiest, of course, is if Denmark get the result and then England win 3-0, rather than England and Serbia both winning by 3 or more. But it could still happen. It could still happen. But another incredible night's action last night. Very, very tough to predict. And trust me, the predictions today are even harder. So before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel if you're new around here. Because, of course, we then have Copa America predictions to come for you again tonight before we then have our final group games in the Euros tomorrow morning. And without any further ado, let's get straight into it because we have 2 groups to discuss today, which means for the first time in this series, we're going to be doing 4 matches in one day. And of course, because this is UEFA, we will be doing Group D before Group C because once again, UEFA care not for alphabets. So we do start with Group D, and we'll start with the one game that really has the least relevance as to everything that's going on. France already top of the group. Not guaranteed to finish top of the group because obviously whatever happens in the Holland against Austria game could affect that. However, whatever happens, Poland are out of the Euros. So they're not really playing for anything. That, of course, could mean that they have all the shackles off and can play a bit more freely, or it could mean that they just give opportunities to players that didn't play in the first 2 games. So realistically, France are going to have a much easier time against Poland than they would have if Poland was still playing for something. And of course, it looks like Mbappe in the mask is going to be back for tonight's game as well. Incredible, though, that stat that since in the games that Mbappe's missed, France haven't won any of their last 7 where Mbappe hasn't played. So if Mbappe is back tonight, I think we're all going to expect France to get the win for 3-0 and then just move on because the other games from here are so tough to call. And we'll start off with that game between the Netherlands and Austria. And like I said, this is so tough to call. Regardless, Austria are already qualified for the next round. So there's a little bit of pressure off in regards to that. However, they know that victory over the Netherlands will guarantee them at least second place in the group, depending on what happens in the France and Poland game. On the flip side, the Dutch know that they have to better France's result against Poland if they're going to finish top of the group. But obviously, again, in the same breath, if they avoid defeat to Austria, even a draw, we'll see them finish second in the group. However, that then will mean they have a relatively tough game as well in the next round. So really tough to call this one. Austria, as we know, have been absolutely fantastic in their opening 2 games. Unlucky to lose to France, but then fantastic in their victory over Poland. In the same time, the Dutch, not particularly impressive against Poland, but got the win and then played very well against France and were absolutely robbed of the victory in that one. So I can't split them. I really can't. And I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I was tempted to go for 2-2 initially, but I think the way these 2 sides play, I think goals are going to be hard to come by. I don't think it'll be 0-0, famous last words once again, but I think it's going to be really tight. For me, this is 1-0 either way or a 1-1 draw. If it ends up being a high-scoring game, even better. Be great for entertainment value. But for me, it's going to be a really tight match. And I can't split them. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, which means France will top the group, Netherlands will finish second, and Austria will finish third, but already guaranteed a spot in the next round as one of those best third-place teams. That then brings us to Group C. And if you thought Netherlands against Austria was difficult, it's not getting any easier here because honestly, I look at these 2 games now in Group C and I honestly think anything could happen in both of them. We'll start with Denmark against Serbia because this one's a little bit more nuanced. Denmark are on 2 points, Serbia are on 1, a win for Serbia would guarantee them a spot in the next round, either as a third place team or as just a second place team, depending on what happens in England, Slovenia. Denmark, if they win, will be at least guaranteed second. However, of course, if England don't get a result against Slovenia, a win for Denmark will then see them top the group. It's just absolute chaos in this one. So the way I look at it, Denmark have played well in their first 2 games and were arguably unlucky not to get wins in either of those first 2 games. Serbia have been relatively poor in their opening 2 games, but have still given themselves a chance of qualifying for the next round in some capacity if they get the result tonight. However, like I say, I think on the balance of the 2 matches I've seen so far, Denmark have been the better side, so I'm going to go for 2-1 to Denmark. But honestly, so tough to call. So tough to call. And it doesn't get any easier when it comes to England, which is embarrassing to say even of itself, because we should have won all 3 of these group games with absolute ease. But unfortunately, we're missing Calvin Phillips. So it's been a real struggle. Southgate's already confirmed that we're only going to make 1 change for tonight's game, and it's going to be Conor Gallagher coming in for Trent, which is a bit whatever. Doesn't really change how we're going to approach this match. We're going to try and steal it 1-0. So I'm going to go for 1-0 because, again, as an England fan, I have to believe we're going to do what we set out to do, which is to get the 1-0 result that he's looking for. However, again, I could see this finishing 0-0. I could see this finishing 1-1. I could see this finishing 1-0 to Slovenia. I really could. At least whatever happens, England will progress with 4 points, even if that means they finish third in the group. But I'm not holding out much hope for tonight. I really think we should be winning. It should be 2, 3, 4, 5 if we really play to our full potential. And if that happens, then Croatia would get through. But I just don't see it happening. I really don't. I think we'll set out the exact same way, trying to be solid, trying to be robust, trying to play part the bus counter-attack against Slovenia. And to be honest, I don't think Slovenia are good enough to score against England. They shouldn't be, realistically. They have obviously got Šeško, who on his day is fantastic. But if we are actually playing with a defensive mindset, our defence should be good enough to keep out Slovenia. So that's why I think it'll either be 0-0 or 1-0. I'm back in England. I will always try and back England where I can. So I'm going to go for 1-0, but I have no faith in that prediction whatsoever. And best believe when it gets to 10 p.m. tonight, we'll be coming back on here doing one hell of a reaction if it is anything other than an England win. But even if it is a poor performance, it's going to be not a great reaction either. So, as always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Who's topping Group D? Who's finishing anywhere in Group C? Don't forget to check out my Copa America predictions at 4 p.m. tonight. And then stay tuned for that post-match England reaction at some time between 10 and half 10 tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you there.